Alrighty, so part two of the review of match week number 7, and it's safe to say that in these games there are some teams that desperately need to get a win. They got the win, and then there are some teams that desperately needed to get a win, and they don't get it. And one of those teams is the LA Galaxy, who I think it's safe to say that the Galaxy is in full-blown crisis mode after this 3-0 loss in the hand of the Houston Dynamo. I mean, from top to bottom, everything is bad about this Galaxy team, and that I would say that in some way they're kind of suffering almost a similar situation that the Portland Timbers had last season, especially in the beginning of the year, with the whole scandal that kind of started to act as a distraction and really put in a very poor on-field product. Though you can even say that this is even worse because of how everything is just gone wrong for this Galaxy team. But early on, Ivan Franco did hit the first shot for the Dynamo, but he hits that one away. But then in the 24th minute, it looked like the Galaxy got a penalty. But VAR says no because VAR did say that Escobar did get a touch off the ball after he brought down Memo Rodriguez, and it's the red call. I mean, you can clearly see Franco Escobar did get some touch to the ball as he brought down Rodriguez there. So no penalty was given to the Galaxy. Though on the other end, Artur did fires it just wide from close range before Karaskia puts it wide from long range, as the Dynamo were definitely pressing to try to get the opening goal. And they do. In the 35th minute, it's Hector Herrera scoring to make it 1-0 in favor of Houston. And it's just one of those free kicks where, when you basically deliver a ball in just a perfect area where, defenders tend to not want to touch it because if they touch it, it can potentially end in an own goal, and also the goalkeeper could potentially get caught off guard, and that's what happened here. It went by everybody and went into the back of net, and yeah, the Dynamo were leading 1-0. Then Herrera enjoyed scoring so much that he thought he scored another one, but unfortunately he hits it just high from long range before Clark would deny Joveljic in the front post, and we head to halftime with the Dynamo leading 1-0. Now in the second half, Clark would deny Judd, and he was in on goal there before Franco would just puts it high from close range. As I thought both teams, getting some good early opportunity in the second half, but it would be Houston, the one that gets a chance to get the second goal as they won a penalty after VAR deemed that Bergman brought down Karaskia in the box. Now, while the referee was checking VAR, yeah, this is just unacceptable that from Martin Caceres. I mean, for a guy that is a veteran like him, there is absolutely no need for him to go to the VAR monitor. And referees and the league has specifically told players that when there's a VAR check by the referee, you are not allowed to be going to the referee monitor, or else you are going to caution. Well, Caceres not only did that, but he took it a little extra. I mean, he decided to intervene down and even touch the referee as he is looking at the VR monitor, and the referee was having none of it. And keep in mind, Caceres is already on a yellow card, so that's even more dumber too. I mean, you're already on a yellow card. You don't really need to do something that is going to get you a second yellow card. And there it is. Second yellow card was handed out. Probably one of the dumbest red card that we've seen in a game. And the funny thing is, this probably wasn't even the dumbest red card, because we saw a couple of red cards here. We even saw even a dumber red card that happened late in this one. But nevertheless, the Galaxy, they went down to 10 men, and here comes Bassi, who was looking to try to become the first player in MLS history to score a penalty in 4 straight games. And he does. He buries this one to make it 2-0 in favor of the Dynamo. And then 8 minutes later, he just want to remind everybody that he doesn't just score penalties, and he's not a penalty kick merchant, because he would score his first goal from open play from Bear and Herrera to make it 3-0 in favor of the Dynamo. Though unfortunately, the only blemish for the Dynamo in this game is that Hector Herrera did get his second yellow card, so that's definitely going to be a big loss, because I think Ache has been playing very well this season, especially at home, but he's not going to be available for the next game because of this sending off. But then just 1 minute later, we had another sending off. It was 10v9 soccer time as Douglas Costa. Remember how I said that, the Caceres red card wasn't the dumbest red card we've seen? This was also another brain dead moment. I mean, I understand that, yes, the Galaxy are frustrated because of the way that they play, but just the way that Douglas Costa kind of took it out on Brooklyn's Reigns, decided to do a WW move for no reason whatsoever. I mean, Yeah, I have a feeling Douglas Costa, not only the fact that he's going to be suspended in the next game, he probably gets suspended for the next couple of games too, because when you do that kind of move for no reason, no intention whatsoever, yeah, you're going to get a couple of games. And I think maybe that probably is the best news for the Galaxy. And also that moment maybe just sums up his times with the LA Galaxy. I mean, I did say when the Galaxy decided to sign Douglas Costa that this looked like it was going to be a bad idea, and not only the fact that I was proven right, but I mean, I didn't expect that he would make these kind of brain dead move while he was as a member of the Galaxy. But overall, just an absolute disastrous night to continue. Just a disastrous start to the season for the Galaxy as they lose 3-0 in this one. Shots in this one, they did outshot the Dynamo 16-13, but only 3 shots on goal of the 16 shots that they had. Or actually, I'm sorry, they didn't out, or did they? Yeah, they did. I was looking at whether or not that was a 6-0. That's kind of embarrassing, the fact that I can't even read my handwriting. But that being said, 5 shots off target for the two at the Galaxy. I just like the Galaxy itself this season. But 11 shots that was blocked with a 5 that Houston has, in possession-wise, 53% possession compared to 47% possession that the Dynamo has in this game. And like I said, for the Dynamo, so far, this has been a good season for them because, I know the road performance, it hasn't come to them. Though, when you look at how they play on the road, even not getting a point to show for it, they have played very very hard, and at home they just shows why that oh god, I forgot what was the name of the. It's something like Shell Energy Stadium, whatever their home stadium is called. It's always been a fortress. It's always been a tough place for teams to play, and it's basically started to show that. And keep in mind, we're not even getting into the summer month where that is kind of the reason why it's so tough to go on the road to Houston to get points because of the humidity. And if this is going to be the case where Houston will have the humidity in their favor, and playing good at home, maybe, just maybe, the Houston Dynamo might make it to the playoffs and finally show some progress in this deep rebuild that they've been going through. But that being said, moving on in the next match, we got Sporting KC versus the Colorado Rapids. So speaking of a team that has pretty much desperately need to get a win and they don't get it, that is kind of the case for Sporting KC. Although you could argue both of these teams desperately need to get a win because it is a desperation derby. But yeah, it was the Colorado Rapids, the one that got that desperation derby win, and you can kind of sense that it was coming with the way that the Rapids have played very well in the last couple of games, even though they don't have a win to show for it. Now, early on, Rubio did hit it high from close range, though there was not much chances to speak of. I mean, remember, this is the Wooden Spoon Derby, and as much as I did try to say that this is gonna be exciting and that we have seen before, Wooden Spoon Derby tends to be exciting. Yeah, this, at least for the first 30 minutes, wasn't the case. But in the 30th minute, Rubio would hit one right to Melia. Yeah, Diego Rubio, he definitely want to score against his former team. Just spoiler alert, he eventually did. But in the 32nd minute, Yarbrough would deny Rosario in the front post. I mean, Yarbrough didn't have to go insane like he did in the previous game against Sporting KC, but he still had to make some save in this one, and once again caused nightmare for Sporting KC fans. I mean, if you mention the word William Yarbrough to any Sporting KC fans, I think they will not be. They don't want to talk to you whatsoever. But Hernandez then hits one right to Yarbrough in the fourth minute of stoppage time. And yeah, we had to have time scoreless between both of these teams. And also, in terms of the Hernandez chance when he hits one right to Yarbrough, little do we know that was actually the last shot on goal that Sporting KC would get in this one. But in the 49th minute, or actually, I'm sorry, I take that back. They actually had another shots on goal as Yarbrough denied Polito from close range. For some reason, on the league website, it says that Sporting KC had 2 shots on goal, but I'm pretty sure this is a shot on goal, and this is a shot on goal, and this is also a shot on goal. So yeah, I'm kind of debating whether or not should I just change that to 3 shots on goal. I mean, that doesn't really help Sporting KC whatsoever because again, it's another goose egg in this one. But no doubt that they were on the front foot and was looking for the opener in the second half. Voltaire would miss wide from long range before Zuzi puts it just wide as he was trying to shoot this one through the traffic. Hope that maybe it took a wicked deflection and it goes into the back of net. I mean, this Sporting KC side has been so snake bitten this season that I don't think anyone is surprised the fact that even if it took a deflection, it probably wouldn't even go the way of Sporting KC. But in the 63rd minute, Hernandez did hit the side netting, and I mean, bad finishing from Sporting KC. Looked like it's back on the menu because again, these chances that they were getting are, some of them were good half chances, but some of them are just kind of low percentage chances too. And then in the 68th minute, Colorado would take the lead as Diego Rubio, as I mentioned, would haunt his old team here as he scored from Yappy to make it 1-0 in favor of the Rapids. Great to see Darren Yappy get on the board here. I mean, it's not a goal for him. He's still trying to score his first goal, but at least get his first assist in his young MLS career. But yeah, this was just bad defending from Sporting KC. First of all, a bad turnover in the midfield, and then Melia just getting completely caught flat-footed there. And yeah, that gives the Rapids a 1-0 lead. And you could maybe even argue it was kind of against the run of play because Sporting KC were the better side. And that goal seems to kind of destroy the morals of the Sporting KC side because we didn't get a lot of stop and go action. There wasn't really much chances, which was clearly in favor of the Rapids because if you're leading on the road, you don't want to give Sporting KC a chance to get some momentum and really have a chance to get the equalize. Sir, but Tommy did had a chance to do so in the 84th minute, but he puts it wide as he was trying to chest that one and hits that one on the volley. And as the full-time whistle was blown, the boos were raining down at Children's Mercy Park. Maybe even some Vermees out kind of chant might have rained down in terms of the boos that were raining down Children's Mercy Park because for Sporting KC, the struggle continues. Once again, failed to get on the score sheet, losing 1-0 at home in the hands of the Colorado Rapids. Shots in this one, 18 shots compared to 8 that the Rapids had. Again, debatable, but it says on the league website both teams had 2 shots on goal. 6 shots off target for the 2 that the Rapids had. 4 shots that was blocked for the 10 that Sporting KC had. And possession-wise, 60% possession compared to 40% possession that the Rapids has in this game. And also, just to note, Sporting KC set a or are part of the wrong end of history of becoming the first team since I believe 1997 to only score 2 goals in the first 7 games. And the funny thing about the team that they broke the record, it was basically the same team. It was the Kansas City Wizard that, of course, all the way back in I believe 97, only scoring 2 goals in the first 7 games. And mind you, those Wizard team in the early days were a very, very bad team. So yeah, this is definitely not looking good for the Sporting KC side. And just like what I said about the Galaxy, or actually I didn't say this about the Galaxy, but I'll say it for both of these teams. I don't know what you can do because there's really not, like, for Sporting KC, the easy answer would basically let go of Peter Vermees, but he just signed a new contract, and that again, this has just been a disastrous season. This is this is just, and I think the other thing that is very alarming in this game, they have Polito and Russell back. You notice I didn't even put their name, or at least put Johnny Russell's name in there. I did put Polito name on there in the 49th minute, but that was an easy save from William Yarbrough. That has to be very alarming because they can't use that excuse of, well, we don't really have our good attacking talent. They've got some of those good attacking talent back, and still they're having problems in terms of scoring goals. But that being said, moving on in the next match. Speaking of teams that are struggling to score goals, well, there was no goal found in this game between Nashville and Toronto FC, and yeah, I mean, it was definitely a game. I'll just say, I mean, it's kind of one of these 0-0 draw that I wouldn't say this was probably the most boring 0-0 draws that I've seen this season. But it definitely wasn't the best by a country mile. In fact, I would say that this game kind of just summarized the scoreline where it was kind of just a meh kind of game. But in the first half, Sapon did had a header that was crucially blocked away before on the other end, Benedeski would hit it right to Willis. It was kind of back and forth at times in this one. There's been there wasn't really at any point where one team was really kind of dominating the game and creating a lot of the chances, but there was no doubt that there was some good half chances early for both of these teams to take the lead. Davis did throw one right to Johnson in the 30th minute, and then the game started to become very choppy. There was not a lot of chances, a lot of fouls, a lot of stop and go kind of situation, and we head to halftime surprisingly scoreless between both of these teams. Now in the second half, Benedeski with fires it high on the free kick before Mukta hits it right to Johnson. Once again, both of these teams were having some good half chances and we're looking for the opening goal. Mukhtar would hit one right to Johnson before Willis denied Larea from close range. Then Willis would deny Benedeski on the free kick. Certainly, both goalkeepers were active in this one, and that I did wrote that TFC was kind of pushing late for the opening goal of this game because that was really kind of the only time I could see that there were consecutive chances by either of these teams. But on the other end, Bunbury would puts it wide in the near post, and then in the first minute of stoppage time, yeah, Michael Bradley he would want to have this one back. He had a free header there from the ball that was delivering in the corner, and that one missed high. Again, if that one went in, I would once again reiterate of the fact that this is again another this it feels like the old problem has popped up again for Nashville, where this team always tends to have a problem in terms of dealing with set pieces, which is kind of crazy to say because this team has always been a very good defensive team under Gary Smith, and the fact that you would assume with a good defensive team they would be dealing corners with ease, but that's not how it kind of is for this Nashville team. But thankfully, again, that bad set piece defending didn't cost them. As in the end, again, it was a 0-0 draw. It was kind of a very mad kind of game. Shots in this one, 10 shots for the 8 that Nashville has. Both teams had 3 shots on goal, 3 shots off target for the 5 that Toronto has. Both teams had 2 shots that was blocked, and Toronto had better the possession, 60% possession compared to the 40% possession that Nashville has in this game. And also with this result, Toronto continued to be unbeaten. But like I said, I don't think any TFC fans is going to be happy with the way that of the unbeaten run that they are in, which I think is now at 6 games. 5 of them has ended in draws. I mean, when you draw so many games like that, that's just not going to do it in terms of getting yourself higher in the standings. But for Nashville, again, this they in this game, I think you kind of saw the big weakness of this team where if Mukhtar can't get it going and also the counter attack can't get it going, yeah, it's going to be a problem, and that's got to be something that they got to solve because I think every team is going to do this where they're as long as they can shut down Nashville counterattack and shut down Hadi Mukhtar, which is not an easy thing to do, but if you're able to do so, you basically just shut down the Nashville SC attack. But that being said, moving on in the next match is another desperation derby between RSL versus Charlotte, and I actually got the score line wrong. It wasn't 3-0. Uh, that RSL won against Charlotte. Charlotte did score a goal in this one. In fact, they actually took the lead in this one. But let's be honest, yeah, this game for a part of this game it was one sided, and Charlotte was holding on to that 1-0 lead for a very long time, and eventually the dam kind of broke because of the unrelentless pressure that RSL was putting on to try to get the equalizer. Now, early on, Marks would rob Rubin on a point-blank header. I mean, that was an incredible save from George Marks that continued to show that he definitely has a future of being a very good goalkeeper in this league, and especially for Charlotte. Savarino then hits one right to Marks before I thought RSL was on the front foot looking for the opener. Marks would deny Savarino from close range before Lofison would send one just over the bar. But then in the 27th minute, completely against the run of play, Schwedetsky would score from Bender and Capetti to give Charlotte a 1-0 lead. I believe that kind of came off of a bad turnover from RSL, but yeah, that was kind of completely against the run of play because I think that was like one of the first shot that Charlotte has, and they put the ball into the back net. But for RSL, it didn't really quite unravel them. In fact, they thought they got the equalizer in the 33rd minute when Julio puts it into the back of net. Problem was, the flag was up, so the goal was disallowed because of offside. Marks then denied Savarino in the near post as RSL once again was pressing hard to get the equalizer this time. But we do head to halftime with Charlotte holding on to a 1-0 lead. In the second half, it was pretty much the same story what we saw in the first half. RSL pushing hard to get themselves on the board. Julio was actually in on goal there, but he missed wide from a tight angle before Marks would deny Julio from close. And then the post came to Charlotte rescue. It denied Gomez from a close range effort, and again, it was all RSL up to that point. Like you just had a feeling that with the amount of pressure that Charlotte was soaking in, that that dam that they were soaking in, it was about to burst open, and boy did it burst open because in the 56th minute, the breakthrough finally happened, and it turns out to be an amazing goal from Pablo Ruiz. He absolutely rifled that from long range. Definitely a goal of the week in terms of contention. There's a lot of goal of the week contention. It's going to be difficult for those voters to vote who is the goal of the week, though. Again, because it's a popularity contest, sorry, Pablo Ruiz, we probably aren't going to win it because, as I'll talk about in just a bit, Seattle also scored a great goal, and the same goes for LAFC with Dennis Bowanga hat trick, and you could argue all those goals could have been goal of the week contention. But then 3 minutes later, Julio would get on the score sheet as he scored here from Gomez and Savarino. And then 3 minutes later, Savarino would get on the score sheet as once again Carlos Gomez on the assist there to make it 3-1 in favor of RSL. And really, just a blink of an eye, it was 3-1 in favor of RSL. Like you knew this was coming. Like it with the amount of pressure that Charlotte was absorbed. Once the one goal goes in, 2, 3, 4 will follow pretty soon. And I even wrote the dam was blown open. Like that, relentless pressure on the Charlotte defense by RSL has kind of took a toll on the Charlotte defense side. Though Capetti did try to stop the bleeding a little bit, but he only hits that one high before Savarino did try to make it 4, but his effort goes high. As in the end, RSL they got a much needed win in this one. Again, they were on a bit of a losing streak, but finally back at home against a team that also desperately needed a win. They get that RSL with a 3-1 win, and the shots in this one, 18 shots compared to 13 that Charlotte had, 10 shots on goal compared to 6 that Charlotte has. Like I gotta feel bad for George Marks. Like this is definitely not on him. He got completely hung out to dry to a Charlotte defense that pretty much was non-existent throughout this one. 7 shots off target for the 4 that Charlotte has. 1 shot that was blocked for the 3 that Charlotte has, and possession-wise, 60% possession compared to 40% possession that RSL has in this game. With that being said, I am now going to switch boards and look at the last 2 games to finish off match week number 7. So moving on in the next game, we got Seattle and St. Louis in the battle between the top 2 teams in the Western Conference. And it's the Seattle Sounders that win the battle and now are back at the top of the Western Conference with a 3-0 win. Though early on, not much really happened in the first 13 minutes as both teams just looked like they were feeling each other out in a big game like this. I would say that, at part of this game, it definitely felt like a playoff game, and I would definitely be very interested to see whether or not if both of these teams will meet each other in the playoffs. And yes, I said it. St. Louis, of course, would make it to the playoffs. I mean, I know these last 2 games, it's definitely been a bit of a setbacks, but we kind of knew that was going to be the case after just a crazy start to the season for them and a record-breaking start to the season for an expansion team. But in the 13th minute, Atencio with Seattle's first shot, but he hits it straight to Berkey. And then the first shot for St. Louis happened as Klaus would try to tap that one in. And again, with how hot that Joe Klaus has been, you don't expect him to miss such an easy chance. But the post basically says no there. Giacchini then hits it wide from close range before Berkey would deny Rodon in the near post. And the chances started to finally come as both of these teams were looking for that elusive opener. Nelson would hit one right to Fry before Rusnak would have a shot that was deflected and it goes right to Berkey. Then Chu would hit one to Berkey, and Berkey fumbled that one, but fortunately for him, he would gather that one, and we had to halftime scoreless between both of these teams, despite the fact that both of these teams had some good chances to get the opening goal. Now, in the second half, I thought once again both of these teams had some good half chances to get the opening goal, but the opening goal finally happened in the 65th minute, and what an opening goal this was as Josh Atencios would score here from Ladero and Rodon. Again, another contention for goal of the week. He absolutely rifled that one off the post and in there. And yeah, Seattle, or actually not off the post, but he actually rifled for that one that Berkey just had absolutely no chance in terms of saving it. And yeah, that gives Seattle a 1-0 lead. Morris did try to make it 2-0, but he puts it wide there. And just similar to what we saw in the last game, once the dam basically broke, the goals were starting to rain down, and that Seattle quickly find themselves 2-0 up just 6 minutes later as Rui Diaz would score here to make it 2-0 in favor of Seattle. But all those gifted goals that St. Louis has had this season, all those back pass gifted goals that they have. Well, you just kind of had a feeling that eventually things are going to take a swing and the table is going to turn. And yeah, the table has definitely turned now because it looks like it's now St. Louis the one that give up bad goals and gifted goals to the opposition. And really, this was just a bad mistake from Roman Bürki. He palmed this weak cross away right into the path of Rui Diaz, and you just cannot not do that. And just a very ill-advised moment for a guy that is Roman Bürki, that is such a great goalkeeper, but again, just not good enough here in this moment. And yeah, that gives Seattle the 2-0 lead. And then about 18 minutes later, it would be 3-0 to add the cherry on the top. The Sounders made it 3-0. Now, originally, they give this goal to Jackson Reagan, as Reagan was able to put this one in, and I think that would have been his first career MLS goal, but unfortunately, it wasn't meant to be because when we look on the replay, it was pretty clear that Nowitzki basically puts that one in. And I think Jackson Reagan knows it. Like, knowing the fact that he wasn't even celebrating, he probably was kind of confused. The fact that he scored, and the evidence basically shown on the replay. It was Nowitzki, the one that touched it last, but again, just a great delivery there. I think from oh God, who of course was there? I don't think it was Rui Diaz. I think it was Rodon, the one that delivered that one. It might have been Rusnak too, but just one that was delivered in a very dangerous area where it's just that's the worst nightmare for defenders and goalkeeper, because it's in an area where goalkeepers they probably won't get there in time to punch that one away, but also in an area where defenders cannot touch it, because if they touch it, it probably will ends up into to your own net. But Pampur did try to get a consolation for St. Louis, but he hits one right to Fry before it would look like it was 4-0 in favor of Seattle, as Morris would put it into the back of net. But unfortunately, there was an offside call on the development of play, so that goal, of course, was chopped off. But nevertheless, the Sounders, they win 3-0 in this top of the table clash in the Western Conference to now leapfrog St. Louis in that spot. Shots in this one, 12 shots committed, 9 that St. Louis had, 2 shots on goal for the 6 that Seattle has, 4 shots off target for the 6 that St. Louis had, 1 shot that was blocked for the 2 that Seattle has, and possession-wise, 61% possession compared to 39% possession that St. Louis has in this game. And in some way, Seattle was kind of doing their typical thing, which again, that was kind of the big question in terms of tactical wise, of whether or not if the Sounders were gonna just kind of have most of the ball and kind of build up the back, like what we see a lot of good team in Europe does, and they kind of did that, which you thought that maybe it played right into the hand of St. Louis, but Seattle did a good job in terms of getting past the press that St. Louis was trying to put. And then I think we also saw one of the biggest weakness for St. Louis in terms of the press, where when you of course press, you can only do it for a certain amount of time before it just kind of wears down a team. And I think by the end, you can see as soon as when St. Louis were down by a big score, you just kind of feel like that press was just kind of worn down to a point where they were getting cut open by the Sounders attack. But that being said, moving on into the last game on this board, and the last game of match week number 7 is Vancouver versus the Portland Timbers in the Forgotten Cascadia Derby, and the scoreline doesn't justify the fact that this was not a close game whatsoever. I mean, this was a game where I gotta feel bad for Ayaz Ivicic, which, by the way, he actually got himself in the team of the week today, which again, it is very rare you see a losing goalkeeper ends up in MLS team of the week. But yeah, he was kind of the reason why for a long time this game was scoreless, and that again, he just got completely hung out to dry by a non-existent Timbers defense, or you could even say that pretty much a non-existent Timbers team, because I don't think they really showed up in this game against the Vancouver Whitecaps. Now, early on, in the 4th minute, Ivicic already had to do some work, as he denied Vite from long range, and then in the 7th minute, he absolutely robbed from a point blank header there. It was all Whitecaps early in this one. They were pressing to try to get the opening goal. Laporta would then heads it high from close range before Veselinovic thought that he gave the Whitecaps a 1-0 lead, but the offside flag was up, so the goal, of course, did not count. Veselinovic then heads it wide from the corner, and despite all the chances that Vancouver has, remained scoreless between both them and the Portland Timbers. Now, in the second half, Veselinovic would score again, but for the second time in this game, his goal was disallowed. And this time it wasn't because of offside, but it was because of foul in the box, and it was actually him that commits the foul there in the box from the corner that was coming in. Berhalter then missed wide from the free kick, and just like pretty much the entire part of the first half, the Whitecaps, they were the better team, and it was all the momentum was in favor of them as they were pressing for an opener. In fact, if you want to talk about expectancy goal, I think the Portland Timbers actually finished with an expectancy goal of 0. Like they basically had 0.0 in terms of the expectancy goal, and the reason why their expectancy goal was at a goose egg is because they were on a goose egg in terms of the shots in this one. 0 shots throughout the first 55 minutes, and I think at the point of this game, I thought, is the Portland Timbers unfortunately going to earn the dubious honor of becoming another MLS team to fail to register a shot, because we saw that happen with DC, and fortunate for them, they were able to get a draw. And then, of course, in a more infamous case, we saw RSL, of course, register 0 shot for the entire 120 minutes against the Sounders, and somehow they won that playoff game. But at that point, it looked like it was a possibility because the Timbers weren't doing anything at all on the attacking end. Though Ivicic in the 58th minute would deny Gresso from close range before he would deny Gresso again. I mean, it was part of this game. It was Ivicic versus Gresso with the way that both of these guys, or at least it feels like every time it was Gresso trying to shoot, and trying to beat Ivicic, and Ivicic basically says no. And speaking of Ivicic, again, he's the only reason, and also some bad finishing from the Whitecaps is the fact that this one stay at 0-0. But just like what I talked about in the previous two games, when that relentless pressure is going to come, eventually the dam is going to break, and it finally broke in the 74th minute as Brian White would score to make it 1-0 in favor of the Whitecaps. Again, it seems like Brian White is allowed to score in MLS again, which probably means that he's probably not going to be allowed to score in CCL in that game against LAFC. But really, this goal happened because of a lot of ball watching from that Timbers back line. Like the fact that they didn't clear their lines there and just kind of watch that ball driven into the dangerous area, and also completely left Brian White on mark. Yeah, you cannot do that. And Ivicic, again, just no chance in terms of saving that one. And then in the 80th minute, finally the first shot of the game. Again, I didn't think it was going to happen, but the Timbers finally registered their first shot of the game. It wasn't on target, though, as Mascara puts it wide from close. And then Caicedo tried to finish it off and try to put the cherry on the top for the Whitecaps, but he was robbed by Ivicic on a 1v1 opportunity. And yeah, in the end, it didn't really matter because the Whitecaps were able to win 1-0 in this one. Again, if it wasn't for Ivicic heroic, this could have been easily 4 or 5-0 in favor of the Vancouver Whitecaps. The shots of this game pretty much tells the story. 13 shots compared to just 2 that the Timbers had. 9 shots on goal in this one. Yeah, Ivicic was a very, very busy man in this one. Compared to no shots on goal, unsurprisingly, for the Portland Timbers. 3 shots on target compared to 1 that the Timbers had. Both teams had 1 shot that was blocked, and possession-wise, 58% possession compared to 42% possession that the Portland Timbers has in this game. And yeah, like I said, it's a very one-sided affair, and the scoreline doesn't do its justice. And again, for the Portland Timbers, I mean, I get it. They have injuries, and I get that has kind of killed momentum, or killed this team because of how thin this team is. But again, that's just where we go back to what we said in the beginning of the season, where this was the worry of how thin this Timbers team, where if they go through even a small bit of injury crisis as they're going through right now, it can just absolutely damage this team. And lo and behold, it has damaged this team to a point where, again, this, you could argue this is, I want to say this is the worst performance of the season, because it doesn't feel like they even bother showing up in this one. But then just remember, they also lost 5-1 against Atlanta United. Although I would say probably this one is even worse, because at least they were able to score a goal in that one, and at least they technically would have scored another one if Eric Williamson goal wasn't disallowed for offside too. And I thought they probably gave more effort in this one, because there was just no effort that was shown in this game from the Portland Timbers whatsoever. But there you have it. That is pretty much it in terms of the review for these 6 games to finish off part 2 of the review for match week number 7. As always, let me know in the comments below what do you think of these games. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you guys do like, smash the subscribe button. And yeah, I of course will see you guys next time.